In this video, I'm going to do an in-depth review of the February BTO projects. In summary, if you are looking for the future million-dollar flat producer, then go for Tanjong Parkfront or Stirling Horizon at Queenstown. Why? Well, currently the resale HDB transaction at nearby flats already reached over $1 million. So you can imagine after let's say 4 to 5 years construction time plus another 10 years to wait for the MOP to finish, in 15 years plus, the prices could be even higher unless the government intervenes. Actually, in terms of location, I still prefer the Stirling Horizon because I have a family and that area still has a good amount of school options within the 2-kilometer radius, which is unlike the Tanjong project. However, the resale value might be hindered by another 2 young BTO across the street, Queensway Canopy and Queen's Arc, because they only have the standard restrictions, whereas Stirling Horizon comes with plus restrictions. If you want the most affordable option, your best bet is Chencharu Fines or Chencharu Green. As they are located across the street from one another, actually there's not much difference in terms of school options and proximity to the MRT station. However, note that Chencharu Fines has more facilities on site, including an eating house, supermarket, etc. So on paper, it is the better option. Note that both sites are quite near to the Sembawang airbase, so you can expect freedom noise to be part of your day-to-day life if you live here. But having said that, if I'm on the hunt for a BTO, I would probably wait for the July BTO launch instead. Why? Well, there will be 8 sites launched, and from the location preview, it is more exciting, at least to me, because you will have 2 sites at Bukit Merah or Red Hill, you have sites at Toa Payoh, Clementi, and many more. But for now, let's discuss in depth about the February BTO projects. Tanjong Parkfront is one of the latest BTO projects in the Kallang area. Out of the gate, this project will be the favorite of the bunch simply because of its central location. Most likely, it will be a $1 million producer or even $2 million producer in the future once it goes to the resale market. In terms of pricing, here's a summary for your reference. Prices are excluding grants, and to help you assess whether these BTO prices are reasonable or not, I've also added the transacted prices of nearby resale flats of similar types. As you can see, for a 4-room flat, for example, the resale flat in the area is already reaching $1 million already. With the waiting time of 4 years plus 10 years MOP, you can imagine how the price will be after 14 years. Even the 3-room flats are selling pretty well. If we compare the price with other February BTO projects, let's say for a 4-room flat, as you can see, Tanjong Parkfront prices are actually not that far from other BTOs. The upper range for Woodlands North Verge, for example, is only $20,000 cheaper than the entry price for Tanjong Parkfront. In terms of entry price, I would say that Tanjong Parkfront has a very reasonable entry price given its location. You can get a 4-room flat here from $548,000 to $727,000. That's very reasonable considering some of the resale flats nearby are transacted around $960,000 to above $1 million. That's like 50% discount when you're buying this BTO versus resale. In 10 plus more years, I wouldn't be surprised if the resale flat around the area is going to surpass the $1.5 million mark or even beyond $2 million mark, unless the government intervene, which might happen eventually. The estimated waiting time for this project is about 48 months, which is fair. For comparison, Stirling Horizon waiting time is longer at 55 months, while Chencharu Green waiting time is around 37 months. So Tanjong Parkfront waiting time is somewhere in the middle, so it's still decent. Now let's look at the site plan. This is essentially a small cluster with just 4 blocks. The facilities such as the playgrounds, fitness stations, and hard court put some distance between the blocks and Tanjong Road. The multi-story car park also creates a buffer between some of the blocks and the ECP. It has 2 drop-off points that I think is still sufficient to serve the project. There is also a sheltered walkway that connects the block to the car park. Majority of the stacks are outward facing, although some stacks will face the multi-story car park directly. About 7 to 10 units will be sharing 3 to 4 lifts, which is still very healthy, and there's also a preschool on the first floor for added convenience. Note that some units may be affected by the west sun. Now let's talk about which stack is the best stack. This is courtesy of Stack Homes. If you are looking for the sea view, interestingly, all stacks would get sea view except for stack 144 that will see the Singapore Sports Hub area instead. However, since the ECP is right next to this BTO, all of the stacks that have sea view will also overlook the ECP. So as usual, you must get the highest floor that you can get to mitigate the noises. Stack 1110 and 112 will get greenish view on top of the sea view because it is facing a forested land plot and the Keppel desalination plant. However, in Singapore, there's always a possibility that this open space will be turned into a development in the future, which means a risk of construction noise. In terms of classification, it will have a 10-year MOP, subsidy recovery clawback, cannot rent out even after MOP, and a bunch of other restrictions that I'm sure you are familiar with by now. In terms of unit mix, there will be around 800 units, including 2-room flexi flats, 3-room flats, and also 4-room flats. There will be 260 units of 2-room flexi, so that's good news for singles and seniors, while the majority is still allocated to 4-room flats. In terms of facilities on the premise, you will have a preschool and a residence network center. Now let's talk about the location. So this is the map that HDB gave. If we check the Google map, I think the location is right over here. This new BTO project is located near the two kallang projects Tanjong Riverfront 1 and 2 that were launched in June 2024. But honestly, this new BTO location I think is not as good because this one is further away from the Kallang River and also it is closer from the expressway as you can see here. But having said that, being located in Kallang/Tanjung Ru has its merit and it should still help with the resale value in the future. Overall, the area feels very affluent because it has a lot of high-end condos as you can see here, with some of them priced at around $2 to $4 million or even more. The closest MRT station is Tanjung Ru, which is this one. But I don't know guys, to me this looks like a very long walk. You could probably use a bus because it is several stops away, but it's up to you. If you like an active lifestyle, Geylang Park connector is right over here. It connects you to the Tanjung Ru promenade as well, which give you direct view of the Kallang Basin. Or alternatively, you could also cross the Tanjung Ru Bridge to get to the Singapore Stadium right over here where the Kallang Wave Mall is located. There are a lot of shops and restaurants around there, so good for amenities. Plus, imagine if there's any concert that you want to attend. In theory, you could just walk home while everyone else is stuck in congested MRT or traffic. Nearest supermarket, I think it will be the one at the Tanjong Ru Riverfront BTO because there will be one on their premise, so you just have to cross the street, so that's quite near. If you go to the east of the project, as you can see, we have the Singapore Swimming Club here, and also you can see the Dunman High School here. But if we go to the south of it, as you can see, the area is pretty much still a blank canvas. I'm sure the government will build something here, but at the moment, it's still pretty empty. For parents, there is a preschool in the facility and around the area, as you can see here, we have Eaton House Nature Preschool and also the Kiddie Winky Schoolhouse. But honestly, I don't see any primary or secondary school nearby, so that's a watch out for consideration. Okay, let's do a quick recap. The main selling of this project is probably that it is in the Kallang area, or to be more specific, in the affluent Tanjung Ru area. So the name recognition is there. It is also a short drive away to CBD area if you are working there. And I also like the fact that there's 2-room flexi offered here, so that's good news for singles and seniors. In terms of potential resale value, I can see how this project could be another $1 million HDB resale flat producer in the future, especially if you got a high floor unit with a good view. The location is at Kallang near CBD and it is also surrounded by high-end condos, so it should help to uplift the resale value. On the other hand, what I don't like about this project is the lack of schooling options, which is especially important for young families. Even if it's not relevant to you, it will be on your buyer's mind when they are considering to buy resale flat around here, so that's a watch out. The MRT station is also quite a long walk or a short bus ride away, and obviously the strict restrictions are also a tough pill to swallow. Buyers of this project will be subjected to a 10-year MOP, subsidy recovery, cannot rent out the whole flat even after MOP, MOP, etc. The next watch out is that this project is next to the expressway, so there's some potential dust and noise to be considered. If you do apply for this project, you better pray that you'll get a good queue number so you can pick a unit that is not facing the expressway. Another thing to consider is that the potential competition that you will have when you want to sell the flat right after MOP. Why? Well, this project will be only 1 year younger than the Tanjong Riverfront 1 and 2, right? But those projects have more facilities such as shops, restaurants, a supermarket, and an eating house, and they are also nearer to the water with many units will face the Geylang River directly. Like it or not, this might impact the resale value of this BTO. All in all, I think this project is a great choice for singles and seniors as it is near the CBD area and can support outdoor lifestyle. However, young families might want to reconsider given the lack of nearby primary and secondary school options in the area. Let's talk about Stirling Horizon. This is one of the latest BTO projects in the Queenstown area. This is predicted to be one of the most popular BTO in this batch as it is located in a mature area. There's a lot of interest for this project as it is predicted to be one of the $1 million resale flat producers in the future. In terms of pricing, here's the summary for your reference. Prices are excluding grants, and to help you assess whether these BTO prices are reasonable or not, I've also added the transacted prices of nearby resale flats of similar types. As you can see, for 4-room flat for example, the resale flat in the area is already reaching $1 million already. In fact, the price range is similar to Tanjong Parkfront, and the gaps are still reasonable with other projects that were also launched at the same time. With the waiting time of roughly 55 months plus 10 years MOP, you can imagine how the price will be after about 15 years. If you are on the verge of deciding whether you want to apply for Stirling Horizon or Tanjong Parkfront, what you need to note is their subsidy recovery rate is slightly different, although not much, only 1% difference, but the waiting time for Stirling Horizon is actually the longest in this batch, with 55 months. But beyond the price, actually there's a fundamental problem with Stirling Horizon which I will discuss later in this video, which is the fact of the presence of other new BTOs who only have standard restrictions, while Stirling Horizon will be bound by the plus HDB restrictions. So the resale value, like it or not, will get impacted. But of course, this is only a problem if you are planning to resell your flat down the road, but if you are certain that you want to just stay here for long term, that should not be too much of a concern. Now let's look at the site plan. The land plot itself is narrow with the blocks lined up one behind another, so majority of the stacks are going to face one another. Some stacks face the multi-story car park directly, and we have 10 units sharing 6 lifts, which is still okay. It has 3 drop-off points, which is sufficient for the project. There are also sheltered linkways that connects all the blocks, and you can also use it to go to the multi-story car park, and you also have a sheltered walkway to the bus stop. There will also be a 2-story preschool, which is an added convenience for the residents. And the architect already intentionally put the multi-story car park between this project and the 2 petrol stations, so hopefully that will give you some distance. And note that all units are oriented in a north-south direction. Now let's talk about which stack is the best stack. This is courtesy of Stack Homes. If you want to get an unblocked view towards the Rideout Road landed estate, then you can pick Block 187A, specifically Stack 553 or 549. Or you can also pick Block 186A, Stack 505. However, there's no guarantee that there's no future development blocking your view. There's a preschool though between these blocks with the future high-rise residential developments, so it won't be unblocked view anymore in the long run. For Block 187A, Stack 545 and 547, they will get a partial view of the park on the left side while overlooking the Rideout Road landed estate. In terms of classification, it will have a 10-year MOP, subsidy recovery clawback, cannot rent out even after MOP, and a bunch of other restrictions. In terms of the unit mix, there will be 1,110 units, including 450 units of 2-room flexi, 80 units of 3-room flat, and the rest will be 4-room flats. No 5-room flats here, but that has now been the norm for BTO projects in mature locations. In terms of facilities on the premise, you will have a preschool and a residence network center. Now let's talk about the location. Based on the map that HDB gave, I think this is the location of the new BTO project, which is across the Queensway, Canopy, and Queen's Arc BTO projects that were launched a few years ago. As you can see, there's a low-rise building here. You can see there's a parking lot, a tennis court and stuff, but I think it will get torn down. If you are wondering where is the nearest MRT station, well, Queenstown MRT is right over here. As you can see on the map, the way to get from this project to Queenstown MRT is a little bit twisty. It looks like a long walk to me, but I guess you can take a bus. In terms of amenities, a few blocks away, you can find the Anchor Point shopping mall, which is here. Alexandra Central Mall is here. And then here is the IKEA Alexandra, so it'll be easy to buy some furniture. And also the famous ABC Brickwork Market and Food Center is over here. And of course, there are quite a lot of neighborhood shops around the area as well. In terms of healthcare, Alexandra Hospital is right over here, so it's just quite nearby. If we look at the street view, the land plot is basically between Mei Chin Road and Queensway, right? So Mei Chin Road, as you can see, is quite quiet. It's not so busy. But then if we walk a little bit here, Queensway is a much bigger road. So most likely it will be busy, especially during peak hours, but then again, it's not an expressway. For parents, there are quite a lot of primary and secondary school options within the 2-kilometer radius, although not exactly within walking distance. Okay, let's do a quick recap. The main selling point of this project is clearly the location. Mature area, a lot of amenities, shops, etc. Queenstown is very much in demand, so you shouldn't have a problem renting out rooms or selling the flat after MOP. For singles and seniors, this project offers the most amount of 2-room flexi units in the February BTO launch. Almost half of it is allocated for 2-room flexi. This is significantly more if we compare it with other projects. For parents, you'll be happy to know there are quite a lot of school options within the 2-kilometer radius. On the other hand, what are my concerns about this project? Obviously, the strict restrictions are always tough to swallow. Buyers of this project will be subjected to the 10-year MOP, subsidy recovery, cannot rent out the whole flat after MOP, etc. But that actually leads us to the biggest red flag in my opinion, which is the potential resale value. Why? Well, this project will be only a few years younger than the Queensway Canopy and Queen's Arc, which are just across the street, right? But both of those projects only have a 5-year MOP and the standard restrictions, simply because those projects were launched before the new classification kicks in. And don't forget that there will be over 1,600 units over there, so the future buyers will have plenty to choose from. If you compare that with this project, which comes with a 10-year MOP and a bunch of other restrictions, I can foresee that it will be more challenging to sell a flat here after MOP. Is it possible to sell? Possible lah. But you can imagine that the resale price will get hit as well. Other than that, another downside of this project is that the MRT station, in my opinion, is quite a long walk, so you'll probably need to take a bus. But what's the conclusion? I think this project is still okay if you really want to buy for your own stay in the long term, but if you are thinking of selling this flat somewhere down the line, or even expect to flip for a significant profit, I don't think that this is the project that can help you to achieve that objective. And for families, I think you can stay long term here because there are quite a good amount of schooling options at different levels. HDB must have anticipated that there will be a lot of singles and seniors who are keen to apply for this project, hence they allocated quite a lot of 2-room flexi here, so hopefully that will help to address the pent-up demand for these demographics. This one is the latest BTO project in the Woodlands area. This is a project that is highly anticipated by many people. This is a mega project with 1,540 units, which is even bigger compared to the 2 Chencharu BTO projects combined. Furthermore, it is near an MRT station and classified as a standard BTO, which means the MOP is only 5 years and has more flexibility in terms of selling and renting out the whole flat. In terms of pricing, here's the summary for your reference. Prices are excluding grants, and to help you assess whether these BTO prices are reasonable or not, I've also added the transacted prices of nearby resale flats of similar types. Compared to the resale price, the gap is somehow not that much. Let's say you buy a 4-room flat that is on the middle level. So let's say the price is $400,000 something, but then the resale value is around $600,000 right now. Of course, the price might increase like 7 years down the line or something, right? But then again, the gap doesn't seem as much. If we compare between the 4-room flat prices here with Tanjong Park front, the BTO price gap is not that much, but the potential resale value for Tanjong is much more significant because there you can fetch beyond $1 million. I think this is because for plus and prime flats, they get more subsidies to make the price more affordable, whereas this Woodlands North Verge BTO is a standard project, so the subsidy is limited. If we look at the projects that are launched in February 2025, Woodlands North Verge pricing is somewhere in the middle, so it's not as affordable as the two Chencharu sites, but then again, it's not that much cheaper versus Tanjong or Stirling Horizon at Queenstown. So I kind of have a mixed feeling about the pricing for this project. In terms of waiting time, it is around 47 to 48 months, which is still decent. And of course, because it's a standard BTO, then there's no subsidy recovery. Now let's look at the site plan. It has balanced mix of inward and outward facing stacks, and the facilities also help to put some distance between the inward facing units. It has two multi-story car park, remember, because it's a mega project, and the location is on different end of the projects. Note that some stacks will face the multi-story car park directly, so you need to be careful with that. About 8 to 10 units will share 5 lifts, which is pretty healthy proportion. Sheltered walkways connect all of the blocks, and you can also go to the car park using that walkways. There is also a sheltered linkway to the future bus stop. It has 3 drop-off points because there are 6 blocks in total, and what's exciting is that there will be a preschool, eating house, shops, and supermarket within the cluster, which are added conveniences for the residents. Certain stacks may be affected by the west sun, but not directly. Now let's talk about which stack is the best stack. This analysis is courtesy of Stack Homes. If you want an unblocked view of the Admiralty Park, go for Block 917B Stack 401 or 445 or Block 918B Stack 437 and 439. You can also see the Admiralty Park from Block 916A Stack 359, 355 or 357 and Block 917B Stack 399 as well. But at the same time, you will also see the common facilities, so the noise level can be higher at certain times. Watch out that there are certain stacks that currently looking over the forested area. However, there will be future high-rise residential development in front of it, such as Block 917A Stack 383 and 379. In terms of unit mix, this BTO would have 2-room flexi, 3-room, 4-room, and 5-room flats. Other than that, it will also have an eating house, a supermarket, shops, and residence network center on the site. Interestingly, they stated preschools with an S, plural. So assuming that is not a typo, it seems that there will be multiple preschools on the premise. In terms of classification, you'll be happy to know that this BTO comes with the standard 5-year MOP. So there's no subsidy recovery clawback, and you can rent out the whole flat after MOP. Basically, the restrictions are the same as what you are familiar with in the past. Now let's talk about the location. This is the map that HDB gave, and if we check the Google map, I think the site is around here. It is surrounded by greenery, and some blocks I bet would have an unblocked view to the ocean if your flat is high enough, or at least there will be some greeneries as your view as well. So that's good. The Woodlands Waterfront Park is also nearby. So if you like outdoor activities like cycling or jogging, I think this will be very convenient. You might ask, where is the nearest MRT station? Well, Woodlands North MRT station is just right here. So it is within walking distance. By the way, Woodlands North station is part of the Thomson East Line. So it will give you a direct, although very far, commute to places like Orchard, Santon Way, Marina Bay, Gardens by the Bay, etc. For reference, according to GoDare, Woodlands North MRT station to Shenton Way MRT station is about 41 minutes one way. Just FYI if you are working in the CBD area. Obviously, being located in Woodlands, proximity to immigration checkpoint is a plus, especially if you want to go back and forth to JB for more affordable shopping and culinary experiences. It will be even more convenient once the RTS is already operational. What about amenities? Well, if you are referring to amenities within walking distance, is a little bit limited. I think that's why HDB is planning to have a supermarket, shops, and an eating house on the site. But of course, you can always take a bus ride away to Woodlands MRT area, as the area near there will have more shopping and food options. If we look at the map, for parents, you don't really have primary or secondary school within walking distance to the site, but there are options within the 2-kilometer radius. By the way, If we look at the map again, please note that there is a proposed church to be built next to the site. Okay, let's do a quick recap. What I like about this project is that you stand a chance of getting a flat that will have an ocean view or greenery view. I also appreciate the fact that it is within walking distance to an MRT station. And this might sound strange, but it's true. Well, there's actually a benefit of living near the very last stop of an MRT station. Why? Well, you get to sit down while everyone else is standing up. Seriously, yes, your commute is very long, but at least you can sit down and sleep or watch K-drama or something, right? The proximity to JB is also good if you want to have more value for money shopping and dining experiences. I also like that there are quite a lot of flat types to choose from 2-room flexi to 5-room flat, so that's good. The fact that there will be a lot of facilities on site, such as an eating house, shops, a supermarket, etc. is also appreciated. It also comes with the standard 5-year MOP and typical restrictions, so it is less complicated if you want to sell or rent out the flat after MOP. For parents, there are school options within the 2-kilometer radius, so this BTO is also suitable for families. On the other hand, what don't I like about this project? Well, if you work in the CBD area, the commute is quite far. You'll be spending at least 2 hours back and forth every working day. But this is not specific to this project and more of a reality of living in the Woodlands area. Other than that, I'm actually a little bit concerned about the potential rental value once the RTS project is completed. Why? Well, if RTS is really as convenient as promised, there will be Malaysians who live in JB but work in Singapore. For this particular segment, they probably would pick to live in JB rather than Woodlands because it's just a short hop away, but that would also mean that you will have a lower demand for room and flat rental. But you know, for now, this is just a speculation. We'll just have to wait and see. So what's the conclusion? I think this project will be the favorite in this batch. Why? Well, first of all, there's not many options in this batch. But other than that, the Woodlands area historically has a strong demand. So if the price is right, the location is near an MRT station, and the MOP is only 5 years, then there's a high chance it will draw a crowd. I mean, if I have a limited budget and have to pick between this Woodlands BTO versus the other 2 Yishun BTO, I will still pick this over the Yishun BTO. Let's talk about the 2 Chencharu projects, Chencharu Fines and Chencharu Green. They are 2 of the latest BTO projects in the Yishun area. They are located opposite of each other, so it makes sense if we discuss them together. In terms of classification, you'll be happy to know that these BTOs come with the standard 5-year MOP, so there's no subsidy recovery clawback, and you can rent out the whole flat after MOP. Basically, the restrictions are the same as what you are familiar with in the past. In terms of pricing, you can see the price range here excludes grants, and I have also added the price after the grant. To help you assess whether these BTO prices are reasonable or not, I have also added the transacted prices of nearby resale flats of similar types. I guess because these 2 sites are so close to each other, the BTO prices and the comparable resale prices are exactly the same. These 2 projects are the cheapest of the bunch in this February launch. According to the illustration given by HDB, if your combined household income is $5,900 a month and you buy a 4-room flat for $350,000, then the monthly installment can be covered by CPF without any extra cash to top up. In terms of waiting time, it is estimated to be around 37 to 38 months, which is the fastest in this launch. So, if you are looking for something affordable and ready in the near future, these 2 projects can be considered. Now, let's look at the site plan. For Chencharu Fines, majority of the stacks are inward facing. Facilities help to put some distance between the inward facing units, which is much appreciated, but as usual, some stacks do face the multi-story car park directly. What I don't really like about this development is that 7 to 13 units are sharing 2 to 3 lifts. This is not a good proportion, so you might need to wait for the lift longer than normal. Sheltered walkways available to connect all the blocks, the car park, and also future bus stop, so that's good. And because this project is quite big, there are 4 drop-off points serving 7 blocks. There will also be preschool, eating house, shops, and supermarket within the cluster, which is very good for the residents. Now, let's talk about which stack is the best stack in Chencharu Fines. This is again courtesy of Stack Homes. If you want to have an unblocked view, the option is to pick a unit that is facing the school as it is a low-rise building. You can get this from block 965A, particularly on stack 168, 170, 174, or 172, or block 962A, stack 100, 110, and 112. Stack 204, 214, and 216 are also not bad because although they are facing inwards, but the distance between their stack with the opposite stack is quite far. Now, let's talk about the other Chencharu project, which is Chencharu Green. Majority of the stacks are also inward facing, but none of the stack face the multi-story car park directly, which is quite unusual. But I don't know why Chencharu Green also have problem with the lift proportion because 12 to 13 units will be sharing 2 to 3 lifts. That is quite unusual and kind of crazy. That would mean that the waiting time will be so long. In terms of facilities, this cluster will only have preschool, so if you are looking for option that has more facilities, Chencharu Finds actually is better. Which ones are the best stack in Chencharu Finds? Well, Block 968B stack 175, 179, 197, and 199 will be facing the neighborhood park. If you are okay with block view, as long as it has some extra distance with the opposite building, try to apply for block 968B, stack 183 or 185, or block 967A, stack 117. In terms of unit mix and facilities, there are few differences between these two sites. The first site is slightly bigger with 840 flats consisting of 2-room flexi, 3-room, 4-room, and 5-room flats. Other than that, it will also have an eating house, a supermarket, shops, preschool, and residence network center on the site. On the other hand, the other site is slightly smaller with 670 units and there is no 3-room flat option. The facilities on the site are also more limited as it will only have a preschool, but there's no eating house, shop, supermarket, etc. Now let's talk about the location. This is the map that HDB gave. This is for Yishun Site 1, the other one is for Yishun Site 2. If we check the Google map, the location of these new BTO projects are actually quite near to the Chencharu Hills BTO that were launched back in June 2024. As you can see, the Sembawang Air Base is just right next to the site, so that will mean there's some height restriction around the area, so you cannot expect this block or these two BTOs to have like level 40 or something. Obviously, it will be limited. And another thing that you have to consider is because it is next to an airbase, you should expect some plane and jet noises in the area. You might be wondering where is the nearest MRT station? Well, it's actually here. The closest MRT station is Khatib. According to Google Map, with the current topography, Lor Chencharu to Khatib MRT station is around 1.5 kilometers or about 20 minutes walk. But interestingly, if we look closely at the map that HDB gave, it seems like there will be several new roads that will be built, which is this one, Bah Sun Pah Road and also the Chencharu Link. Hence, I believe that these new roads will make your walking time to Khatib MRT station slightly faster. The new distance will probably be less than 1 kilometer. According to Goder, from Khatib MRT station to Raffles MRT station is about 33 minutes. So if you are working in the CBD area, objectively, the commute won't be so bad. The trade-off for the distance is obviously you can buy a flat with a more affordable price tag compared to BTO that is located in a more central location. As you can see, the land around the project plot is still pretty much empty, so it is still under development. Hence, if you go back to the map from HDB, you can see that there is a proposed mixed development with a bus interchange and hawker center, and also there will be a proposed nursing home and also a proposed place of worship. Notice that the keyword is proposed. So for the time being, if you need more amenities, then you can go to areas near Khatib MRT or Yishun MRT. For parents, as you can see, there are quite a lot of primary and secondary schools nearby within the 1 kilometer and 2 kilometer radius, so parents with young children don't have to be worried. There's a couple of watch out though. This second Yishun site will be next to a proposed place of worship. I don't know though whether it will be a church, a mosque, or a temple because it's not stated here. Personally, for me, I'm very neutral about this, but I'm just letting you know as I understand some people might hesitate with the potential noise or commotion at certain hours or days, so just a watch out. Another watch out is there's a proposed columbarium that will be built a few blocks away. It's here. And I heard that there's another one a little bit to the north, so there will be several columbariums in the vicinity. Again, personally for me, it's not a problem, but I'm just letting you know in case that's part of your consideration. Okay, let's do a quick recap. On the positive side, these two projects clearly win in terms of affordability as it has the lowest pricing range compared to other BTO projects in this launch. I also like that there are quite a lot of flat types to choose from 2-room flexi up to 5-room flat, so that's good. But just remember, if you are keen to get a 3-room flat, only the first site has it. It also comes with a 5-year MOP and standard restrictions, so you can easily move on after the MOP. Another thing that I appreciate is that the government is planning to build some new roads around the site, so hopefully that will cut down your walking time to Khatib MRT station. That is very important not only for your daily activities, but it can also help to ensure a good resale price when you are ready to exit later on. For parents, there are a healthy amount of school options in the area, so you don't have to worry about schooling here. What else? Oh, I also like the fact that this site is surrounded by greenery, so that's nice. Now, as usual, let's talk about the downside. The elephant in the room is clearly the Sembawang Air Base. It is unavoidable that you will hear a lot of airplane and jet noises. Even if it's not a problem for you, it might be a concern for the next buyer. So that is something that you have to carefully consider. Another downside is you might still hear construction noise at least for the next several years. Why? Because when we look at the map, there are still quite a lot of empty plots around the area, and the government also already noted that they will build more amenities in the vicinity, such as the proposed nursing home, proposed integrated development with bus interchange, etc. Don't get me wrong, that's a great development plan, but that will also mean that residents in this BTO will have to bear with some construction noises for several years. On top of that, as mentioned, the presence of several columbariums in the area is something to take note of. Personally, I don't think it's a big deal because it is still several blocks away and not literally next to this BTO. Another thing that I'm personally not comfortable with is that now you can't apply for the exact project that you want. HDB only allows you to pick the flat type and the town, and for these two sites to be literally located opposite each other, for sure the application will be clubbed together. And you know what? The first site is slightly better than the second site because it has more facilities on site and it won't be literally next to a worship place. So what's the conclusion? I think if you are looking for an affordable option with a reasonable commute time and school options, this place is okay. But if you are not in a hurry, I wonder whether it makes sense just to wait for the next BTO launch. Why do I say that? Well, the fact is, this site is next to the Sembawang Air Base. This might be a deal breaker for a lot of potential buyers in the future. Even if you can find buyers, the resale price probably is limited because it will be perceived to be noisy. Another reason is, in this BTO launch, there are only 5 projects in 4 locations, right? It's not that many compared to the previous October 2024 launch where they released freaking 14 projects. So there's a good chance HDB will release more locations in the next batch simply because the options are so limited this time around. If you want more insights about other projects, check out my other videos in this channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye!